Today's GGB podcast is sponsored by Coin. Built for how guests move, Coin keeps payments in the background so the experience stays front and center. Learn more at coinpayments.com.
Welcome to the Global Gaming Business Podcast. We're here at the Indian Gaming Conference in San Diego, and I'm here with Mike Bean, the general manager of the Morongo Casino Resort in near Palm Springs. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here and see you, Roger. Thanks for having me.
Well, I always like to get together with you. We've known each other for quite a while, and I think you're one of the really good operators in the tribal gaming market. So
thank you very much. There are many, but thanks for that.
Well, it's always good to talk to you. So, I've been following Morongo for a long time. A lot of my friends, and your predecessor, Richard St. Jean,
sure,
have been the GMs there, and it's a great, well-managed property. What did you find when you got there?
Exactly what you said, a well-managed, a beautiful property. There's something about the Morongo property that has tons of energy. So when you walk in,
okay,
and you can really feel the excitement and the energy. We, of course, have, many of the, non-gaming amenities that,
sure,
that our guests want. But, it's really a great environment.
Yeah. I mean, when you walk into the casino, it's kind of a circular casino, and it just hits you, the energy right as soon as you get in. Plus, it's always jam-packed.
It is jam-packed, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's also a challenge, right?
Yeah,
Trying to manage
sure
the volumes, but and provide everybody with, a frictionless, great time.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you get there, the first thing you really have to do is really understand the team members, and again, knowing from the previous GMs, they have a great spirit, a great loyalty to the tribe. What did you find when you got there?
An incredible team, just really smart, experienced, collaborative team, and I see that great things have been accomplished, and have a great team to continue to do that,
mm-hmm,
as we move forward.
Right. So how did you first interact with the team members?
I think the first thing that I did was really just get to know each other and
mm-hmm,
start to get a comfort level that
right,
we could work well together and understand, what we're all really good at, and leverage those talents and really try to figure out, where are we going next,
sure,
collectively,
yeah,
as a team. And a lot of that has to do with, planning strategically and making sure we all know why we're doing what we're doing,
mm-hmm,
versus, a flavor of the day or
sure,
an idea of the day, and really have some long-term, thinking around it.
mm-hmm. Well, of course, and you also have to interact with the tribe. Chief Martin is a real smart guy. I mean, again, I've known him for quite some time, and just to be able to have developed that property over the years has been an incredible task. And of course, it's such a remarkable property just to look at it. It's
Sure.
Tall in the middle of the town, and it's got when you get to the top with the restaurant at the top, what a view you have of the whole valley.
Absolutely, it's an iconic, hotel tower.
Sure.
That you can see both as you arrive from the west and the east,
Yeah.
and it's got a great appeal, and it strikes a sense of curiosity for those who are driving down
Sure.
Interstate 10 for the first time, and you realize when you drive in that there's actually quite a bit going on there, not just the casino, the amenities, the beautiful restaurant that you mentioned, Cielo at the top, along with amazing shopping right
mm-hmm,
next door,
right, yep,
and many other things.
Yeah, no question. And I think the fact that you can see it miles away, that kind of builds the excitement as you get to it.
It does, because you see that, you have that curiosity, and you may know that you're going there, and the excitement builds because you know what's there, or if you haven't been there before, you really want to, it draws you in.
Sure, no question. So how many slots and tables do you have?
We're running about right now about 3,500 slots at that location. We have additional slots at our travel center, so
Right.
a large number, and nearly 100 tables.
Okay. How about the table game rules? We know on the strip, they've gone to a lot of 6-5 blackjack and high limits. How do you handle your live tables there?
Well, we handle them. We have various limits there, and
sure,
we change them as the market demands.
And do you have electronic table games?
We do. Very popular.
Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting because different jurisdictions, different places, and different points in time,
Right.
electronic table games are more or less popular.
Mm-hmm.
At Morongo, there's definitely strong demand and strong popularity. So we have an entire section dedicated to electronic table games,
Sure.
which is really nice to see.
Right.
We see that we have people who want to learn table games. They feel less intimidated
Yeah.
with electronic table games. So it's great great kind of learning ground
Sure.
for people who are learning to and wanting to, have gambling as part of their entertainment.
Sure. Plus, you can offer low limits here.
You can, yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can.
no question. So, California is kind of this hybrid market with Class 2 and Class 3 games. You have a limit of Class 3 games you're supposed to adhere to, and of course, you can add Class 2 on top of that because there's no limit on them. What's your situation in Morongo with them?
Well, we find we're primarily, class 3 because, we have greater variety, greater appeal to
Right.
guests. We have a limited number of class 2 at, our bowling alley and a couple of other places there, outside of the large casino.
Right.
So that's really how we operate. We focus primarily on the class 3.
Okay, great. So you mentioned the casino, the restaurant at the top, the Cielo, is that it?
Yes,
Yeah.
CLO.
Great restaurant. Again, the views are spectacular. But you got a bunch of other food and beverage outlets. What are some of them?
Sure. We have Good Times Cafe, which is really kind of an all-around go-to
Coffee
restaurant.
shop.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We have, a multitude of bars and restaurants. We have the Marketplace, which is relatively new, which is very appealing because it's hard to even compare it to a buffet, but that's really kind of a starting point because you go in there and you have different dining experiences within the restaurant. So it's more of a food hall than it is anything else.
This episode of the GGB podcast is brought to you by Coin. When payments fade into the background, better experiences come forward. Coin helps operators support how guests naturally move through moments without interruptions or added friction. Secure, flexible, and designed to evolve, Coin integrates into existing environments while helping operators deliver more connected guest experiences. Learn more at coinpayments.com.
So California, of course, doesn't have sports betting yet, but I'm sure you've been preparing for it. What do you have right now that could appeal to the sports fan, and how are you going to do that? Once it gets approved. I know there's some talk about being on the ballot in 2028.
Sure. If sports betting gets approved, we're ready. We would be ready for it. When you traverse through the casino, all sorts of opportunities that we have today for viewing sports. Simply as a fan without betting, there are many places to watch sports, and we would adopt to have something more dedicated to sports when that occurs.
Sure. Well, unfortunately now, California bettors can bet on the predictions markets.
Sure.
And, that's a bad thing for the tribes because they get nothing out of that. What do you tell your customers about that?
We talk to our customers about the fact that it's really, it's not regulated. It's
Right.
really, there's a Wild West element to it. Our position is that it's illegal,
Mhm.
and
Right.
and that it is, an existential threat to gaming, not
Yeah.
just tribal gaming, but
Absolutely, gaming as a whole, for no question about it. It's it could destroy everything if it's allowed to go forward. The state gets no tax revenue from that. The tribes get nothing from it. So
Therein lies the challenge.
yeah, no question. So what are the demographics of the Morongo Casino? Do you kind of draw like a 25-mile circle around, and how much of your customers come from that circle?
That's a great question because we view our property as growing to become more and more of a destination.
Yeah.
We get 70% of our demographic and our folks come out of the west,
Yeah.
to the west,
Sure.
and 30% out of the desert, the Palm Springs
Oh, really?
area. And so we are thankful to our guests who make a decision to drive and come visit us, even at a little bit of a distance. And our job is to make sure when they make that decision to invest their time and money to come visit us, that they have an outstanding time. Our vision is that we always want to get more and more people from further and further distances to visit us more often and stay longer. In our business, it's no secret that we can't export. We're not Amazon. We can't mail out the things that people order
Right, yeah.
online. We have to get people to physically come visit us. So it's very important that we provide a great experience to all members of the group. So we know that our guests, they travel in groups, couples of couples, groups of friends. And that when one person suggests that they would like to go to Morongo, everyone in that group says, "Yeah, there's something there for me."
Right.
And,
Sure.
and you have within those groups, you have gamers and non-gamers. So you really want to get that visitation from the group more often.
How about meetings and conventions? Do you have any of that?
Sorry.
Meetings and conventions?
Sure, we do. We have, we have meeting space, and that is an area where we're looking to improve. So as we go through looking into the long term, we believe that's something for us to explore, to provide greater space for that, more of it, better quality space, so that we can, attract more of that mid-short business.
Sure. We did a small educational conference there one time. Your Vice Chairman Siva spoke at the conference, and it was a great experience. Your people treated us really well.
Well, that's good. Thanks for letting me know that. And Vice Chair Siva had a couple of panels that he was on that I attended.
Yep.
And he always does an outstanding.
Well, he's
job
fantastic
on those panels.
We went to the ball game last night, and he threw out the first pitch, so that was exciting.
That's great.
So tell us about your entertainment policy. Do you have any of the superstar entertainers coming in?
So we have a small entertainment venue. So we have about 1,000 seats. So we are another area that we can probably start to improve by considering a larger venue.
Okay, that'd be great. So you also have the original casino next door, which the tribe built, many years ago, back in the 80s, I guess. And a few years ago, you renovated it and reopened it. Tell us how that's operating right now.
It's great. When you walk in, you're like, wow, this is brand new. It looks great, feels great.
Right.
I wouldn't call it cozy, but I would say it's a little more intimate, which many people like. It's very popular.
Yep.
It's where the bingo operates out of, as well as poker. And we also have slot machines, very beautiful, large, center bar.
Sure.
There that people enjoy our guests enjoy quite a bit. And so it continues to be, very popular. The ease of access, you can drive right up and park. We have, wonderful garage and surface parking at the larger full-scale Morongo Casino. But this one, it's a great niche for us.
Sure, no question. So you've worked for many tribes, California and Arizona and beyond. But the Morongo tribe was one of the original tribes that really was a spearhead for Indian gaming back in the 80s. What's it like to be representing one of those OG tribes, as they say these days?
Sure, it comes with great deal of respect, for the history and for what was achieved by many people, many years ago.
Right.
And so, I take on that responsibility, seriously, to maintain those traditions and continue, what great people started.
Yeah, it's a very honorable tribe, and the members of the tribe have benefited down through the years. As you mentioned, the shopping area, they own all that land and they've developed it in with non-gaming amenities, and it's really worked well for them.
It's a great property.
So not only have you worked in tribal gaming, but you worked in commercial gaming, and what's the difference in working in both? We know that commercial gaming benefits the shareholders, whereas tribal gaming benefits the tribes and the members, actually impacts their lives. Is that the main difference, or are there other differences?
I think you identified the primary differences. They're family businesses,
right?
And it's much more personal.
Yeah.
In terms of the benefits that the casino produces for the tribe.
Sure.
So they're benefits that are felt by tribal members. So it's very important that we continue to drive success for the organization.
Right, no question. Well, Mike, thanks for taking the time to sit down with us. It's always interesting to talk with you and to learn about Indian gaming. That whole Palm Springs market down there is so dynamic with so many different operators down there doing different things. And I think Morongo certainly stands out as one of the most innovative tribes down there. So congratulations on being there, and hope to see you again.
Thanks, Roger. Thank you very much for having me today.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning into the GGB podcast, sponsored by Coin. Designed to integrate with existing operations, Coin helps operators support today's guests and tomorrow's expectations. Visit coinpayments.com to learn more.